Okay, welcome to the Aaron Roussos podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the causes of anxiety disorders. Now, this one's a really interesting topic because it's something that's dear to my heart. From the, year 2010 to 2018, I was riddled with an anxiety disorder, panic attacks, and ADHD. I'd always had some form of ADHD from a very early age, and doctors and parents and all that sort of would try and offset it and combat it with different things, medication and physical activity, and trying to get me to burn energy when they didn't understand what was going on. So I go to my place of work and I feel real sick, and I start presenting to emergency up to 15 times in 1 month. And it took a while, but eventually I got a diagnosis of having an anxiety disorder. And so then I started did some CBT, psychiatrists, exposure therapy. I pretty much just went through the system and tried everything. I was very open and willing to try everything because I was so debilitated. I would have clammy hands, popping in my ears, heart palpitations, chest pains, basically on a minute by minute basis. I was just trying to get through that hour. It got bad. I got onto medications. I was taking a lot of medications that made me like a bit of a zombie. And it really wound back my quality of life to a very low level. And I didn't want to be here. I was actually, if I didn't have such a history of so much suicide in my family, and knowing what that leaves behind, I probably would have went that way, but I was still completely and utterly at the end of the road, and I didn't know what to do. So I got angry in 2018, and at the time I was, full-blown atheist, and I came across a few things, and one was underlying infinite collective consciousness. There's a doctor that was in a coma, and then when he came out of the coma, I guess a near-death experience that made him question some things, and he went and talked to other people that have had that or done past life regression stuff, and basically worked out that you could communicate with those over the veil, and all of them, and if you could tune in yourself and have the transmission, then you could find the answers to things that you couldn't find out here on Earth. So obviously there's over 300 million people that have anxiety disorders and are medicated for it on a daily basis today. 300 million people all around the world. And so I just started asking Spirit, well, like if you this is true and you're there and all this system and everything that's going on, then like help me with this. And I started getting signs, synchronicities and downloads to go to places, do things, and things were popping up on my screen, and I started investigating, and I've started formalising this process while I was at home. And I thought, well, you know what? If I've got ADHD and I'm up for 19 hours a day, why don't use it? So I sort of got hyper-focused on trying to fix this problem, trying to go to the nth degree, trying to go, if it means ayahuasca, acid treatment, going, anything that was available on the earth, I was willing to try. And I was even willing to go over the veil, even as an atheist, and go into the spiritual realms and find out what was available there as well. Yogis, meditate, everything. I did it all. I left no stone unturned. If you're thinking of something and going, I haven't mentioned it, I tried it. Trust me, I tried absolute everything. So I basically came to a point where I went to my doctor in April and said, I want to get off this medication. He said, no, look, you can't. You have to take it for the rest of your life now. And I said, what? He said, yeah, if you take this for more than 2 years, you have to be on it for the rest of your life. And that really made me angry that I put something into my body that I didn't know that I now have to take a drug for the rest of my life. So I got really angry, and that anger sparked something in me that eventually led to me healing myself, which awoke me again to another level, because I already had an awakening 20 years beforehand. So it's just another level again, and I get to this thing and I go, all right. So my first step was finding the causes of anxiety disorders. And obviously I was like, well, why am I like this? So I had to use medical, information. I had to basically study to be a doctor, to find out what they had. Then I had to go and study other fields to find out what they had, and then I had to try and work out what was naturally aligned with me or a human being, or how could I, offset and fix this. So the causes of anxiety disorders is quite an interesting set of causes, because there's like a whole pool of causes, yeah? There's 30, 40, 50 different causes, and 10 of those might be the same might be in the causes with cancer and autoimmune disease. There might be 3 that are in that pool and in that pool, but the causes of anxiety disorders is a group. And the group then, one of them might not do anything. It doesn't affect us. And that's what we do on a daily basis. We go, oh yeah, we know that drinking's not good for you, but that one little bit's not going to hurt, or that one little thing that I did isn't going to hurt. So basically we have human nature we've got that way over many, many, many years of conditioning. So we have some causes. Now let's go through, I'm going to go through, my top 10 causes. So I'm going to say processed, genetically modified foods, chemicals in foods, chemicals that we wash in, shampoos, soaps, all the unnatural things. These are not natural. Yeah, these are not, at its natural, purest form. I mean, food in itself is not in its natural state that it was originally given to us in either. And this can be a bit of a problem as well. The answer is also multidimensional, which means it can go on a scale that way, sideways, through, around, and in the middle. It's very, very complex. But these causes also, social media, phones. It's not natural for you to look at a phone and get a dopamine hit from a response from someone else. And when you do that in excess, what do you think chemical, just say you weren't a human and you're a chemical disbursement station and you had to go around and you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to drop off chemicals here, I'm going to drop off chemicals here, I'm going to drop off chemicals. And all of a sudden, instead of an hour drive to each job, you were just letting chemicals out all the time. Your system's gone haywire, hasn't it? And there's certain biorhythms, there's push-pull energies in life, there's all these things that keep things, life force, keep things driving. And when you throw them all out, it might throw something else out, and this one little thing might not make a difference, and it doesn't. But when multiple things are all put together, and then they're all put together, say 20 things, all put together, and then your body's disposition, your state of homeostasis is depleted, your immune system isn't as high as it should be, then you can almost go, you're going to get this disease here, it's going to be this bad, and it's going to be, you can almost map what you're going to get, how bad you're going to get it. And so the cause of anxiety disorders also crosses over into the spiritual. So traumas. So when something happens, and you might even think that you're fine with it, you know, it's not necessarily, a trauma is not what you think is a trauma. It's what internally, deep down within inside you, you've decided it's affected you or not. So we have all these causes of anxiety disorders. So traumas, smoking cigarettes, illicit drugs, binge drinking alcohol, anything that throws the equilibrium out of our systems of there being some form of balance. It's extreme and it's unnatural. So we're talking about extremes, we're talking about unnatural, and at the end of the day, we are a chemical disbursement center. The synapse of the brain without the spark of divinity, it's an organ that it helps us survive. You know, we think of something, it's a synapse, it sparks some electricity which sends a message down to our muscle in our arm, and then chemicals do the work. Everything that goes on in your body is chemical. The signal goes through and chemicals move muscles. Chemicals do everything in your biology. So what happens when that chemical station is gone haywire, doesn't work, it's exposing chemicals at the wrong rate? That's called an anxiety disorder. So it's just an unbalancing of our chemical system. So anxiety disorders are in fact a chemical illness. Yeah, we call it a mental illness. It's got nothing to do with being mental at all. Besides the trauma and effects, you know, the couple of things that affecting through the brain or not being able to cope through having this anxiety disorder, at the end of the day, all anxiety disorders are just a chemical illness. Now, when I went through and I listed all these things, I looked back at us as human beings, and I went back 10,000 years. Everything that we've eaten, exposed to, drank in, you know, you name it. I went down a lot of rabbit holes, and I even found out where cystic fibrosis became a problem for humans through the Iron Age, after finding that they could clean ancient teeth without ruining the DNA a couple of years ago. So it led down to other paths that found other discoveries that will be out, that everyone will know in the future. So then what I did was I said, all right, well, let's get all of these. Let's get the top 10. Let's take them out of someone's life. Let's boost their immune system and get the DNA efficacy up through diet and lifestyle and being naturally aligned. Let's try and use all these things. And I sort of had a 10-pronged attack. I went, okay, I'm going to create better change. I'm going to create enough points of change within my day and change my diet and take all these things out of my life and boost the immune and detox this, and we'll see what happens. And what happened was quite remarkable. My body didn't recognize anything that was going on. And in that new boosted state, it started healing itself. And I'd heard things for many years that, you know, we have the ability to heal ourselves and there's self-diagnosis built in and things like that. But that was only just passing. To actually see it physically, I cried like a baby for weeks. Could you imagine, you know, you've got a disease that no one in the world thinks can be healed, and you defy everyone, you don't listen to anyone, and you just keep going through and don't listen to anyone. The greatest minds that billions of dollars of research have brought still can't find the answer, and then here's you that just keep plowing through and you find the answer and you heal yourself. And you thought that you were going to have a limited life, or you were going to end your life because you didn't want to have to live with that. You know, basically every day I was trying to bring myself down. I was trying to either drink alcohol, smoke drugs, have many Valium. I used to doctor shop. I used to go to one doctor in the morning, one doctor in the afternoon, and just try and get as many Valiums as I could. I was trying to come down, and then I'd come down, have 2 or 3 hours sleep, and then I'm back up again and I'm off again with the ADHD. So this was becoming a big problem for my life, and it was so profound. I felt this feeling, you know, I did the program over 14 days, and I just took, you know, in my study, what I thought the causes out. I boosted the immune system, had a few things for my addictions, and I created 26 points of change, so that basically my whole biological, everything that I did was not going to be recognised. No, if anxiety is happy in this body, I'll change this body and it can get out. And I had to use the I am spark. I had to use my divinity and understand that as well. But I started on the 1st of August in 2018, and I finished the program on the 14th of August 2018. So a 14-day program. On day 8, because I didn't stop taking my medication, I just kept taking it. On day 8, my body rejected my medication that I've been taking for 10 years, or 8 years, that one. And I never took any more medication. After 14 days, I went back to my normal diet. I went back to my normal life. I even started smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol again. And it's now been 2018, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5 years. It's been over 5 years, and not one piece of anxiousness, anxiety, ADHD, ever. There was a little bit of a adjustment period after I'd healed myself, where my body had to get used to dispersing chemicals again, like it was wound back to a point where it was just giving a little bit. I wasn't getting too excited about things. It was, you know. So basically in 14 days, naturally, and for less money than my normal life was to live, meaning the diet and everything that I did cost less than my normal life. There was no extra financial pressure for me. It was actually cheaper to do this. It was just doing, you know, it was just doing something naturally aligned to our bodies, and that works in relation to that. It was given to me by a divine source. Yeah? I asked the divine. I asked for everyone over the veil. I learned how to be the transmitter, how to get the transmission, and I asked them questions, and they gave it to me. They gave me every single answer, and there's over 100 of them in signs, synchronicities, and laid out in front of me for me to study, pick up, find, and people I walked into that I needed to learn. This is available for anything. This is quite literally a game changer for 300 million people that have got an anxiety disorder. So I did that. I told you I cried for 2 weeks. I felt the wash over me, the love, the thing. It was just, I felt everything. I felt my guides. I felt my family over the veil. I felt my special guides that have been with me my whole time, my higher self. It was such a beautiful emotional time, and I've never, ever take it for granted, and I've never, ever think that that I can't make a difference, or that I can't do something that I put my mind to, because now I'm limitless. I tried to share it with the world. You know, I'm a numerologist. I've done 5,000 numerology charts. I've never charged anyone because I thought it was part of my study, and I learned quite a bit about people and when I do these charts, so I never charge anyone. I got this and I thought, my teacher from Harvard University, numerology, was Mark Gruner, and he used to say to me, greater the knowledge, greater the responsibility, meaning, I know that these people are suffering. I knew what it was like. I had a, debilitating, chronically, version of what these 300 million people have got. So it's my responsibility to give it away to them, for them to heal themselves for free. I never ever wanted to charge for it, but I then went through another learning curve about consciousness, about the world and how it works, and how asleep we all are, and how we don't want to find answers to things because we're born into a structure that doesn't allow for the structure to do these miraculous things. So what did I do? I turned around and did the same program, the same sort of investigative research project into cancer. So to find out what causes cancer, and then I spent 2019 and I went around the world and did every cancer, and I worked with people that had 3 days to 3 weeks to live, and addressed it all accordingly, and went through, and they're all still alive today. Yeah. So how do you get it out there? How do you explain to people that that the anxiety disorder that you have that is causing all these problems? I mean, the problem is that you're sick and you can't think properly anyway, but how do you explain to the world that, well, guess what? That's the old way, when we've been pretty much like this for the last 2,000 years. So it's difficult, and it's led me to, at the time I thought, oh, well, this is it. I've got anxiety disorders. Even if, I charged everyone $1, $300 million would be all right. But it's led to cancer. It's led to the self-diagnosis and the healing systems built within each and every one of us. And it's sent me on a spiritual journey into all sorts of things that I'm sharing, and that's what I've shared in this book. So it's led me to this moment. So it is what it is, but the cause of anxiety disorders is definitely lots of things that we do and we're addicted to, and we do on a daily basis, and we do to the extreme, and then, we're chemical systems. Our bodies are chemical systems. So that's why the cause of anxiety disorders. In the anti I'm building a anxiety uninstalling program. That's better. Let's call it that. I've got something I'm building on my website where, and I've done it with other people for 2 weeks. I've moved in, I've cooked all their food, I've done all their therapies, I've changed everything within their biology, and some of those people that, that I've helped, work with me and are quite willing to talk to anyone and share their experiences, but it's very, very daunting. And as I say, change is dramatic, and that's why I'm going to change my language around change and make it better. We're making things better. So there's going to be a program if you have got anxiety and you would like to try the only protocol, 14-day protocol in the world that works, because it's naturally aligned with all the laws and what we do. It's going to be there, and it's going to be for free. So, but let you know that the causes you're still doing every day. So we just need to think a little bit differently to get the different results that we want to get. So that was a little short potty on the causes of anxiety disorders. Thank you again. Yasu.